All right, everybody, if I can have everyone on their seats so that we can get started. I call this meeting into order at 4:05 p.m. We're going to get started with roll call. Senator Bassnett. Here. Senator Hashimoto.
Here.
Senator Chimezie. Here. Senator Carlson.
Here is proxy.
Senator Roberts.
Here.
Senator Chi Shaffer.
Here.
Senator Hawk. Senator Hawk. Senator Hansen.
Here.
Senator Osman. Senator Osman. Senator Dustin.
Here.
Senator Saha.
Here.
Senator Spears.
Here.
Senator Nguyen.
Yeah.
Senator Uzefa.
Here.
Senator Wing.
Present.
Senator Pena.
Present.
Senator Nowak.
Howdy.
Senator Flynn.
Yeet.
Senator Hopwood.
Here.
President Sif.
Here.
Vice President Saverso.
Here.
Speaker Khan here. All right, let's get started. So for our presentations today, we have a presentation from one of our senators. It's going to be a combination of a presentation and his senator report because he wanted to talk about a few other topics outside of that. So we'll be hearing Senator Wing. Senator Wing, did you email the slide that you wanted to share?
I actually do not have slides today as my computer broke down last night, so I have to go get a replacement this weekend. So
That's all right.
Yep.
Just want to make sure you're all set.
Alrighty, well, good evening, everybody. So I'm here to do my senator report, also to kind of launch an initiative that I am planning for this fall. Had planned on it being my Senate project, but as I didn't get reelected, I will be just pursuing it as a concerned student. So this semester, as we all know, has been pretty challenging, but there's been some successes along the way. A lot of that is communicating with our constituents, and that's actually what has led to the resolution that I have introduced today. There will be some word changes on it before we vote next week, but that is primarily to ensure our students are supported financially and holistically. So the resolution that I presented today is to make the Lot 4, the visitor pay lot, go into a period of unenforcement during those period of unenforcement for all the Flowbird parking as well. As it sits right now, after the hours of 6:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday, the gold lots as well as Flowbird are unenforced, allowing students to park for free. Meanwhile, that creates some confusion in regard to Lot 4. There have been a number of students who have complained to me that have gotten ticketed at, say, 7 o'clock. They're trying to do something in the CSU. And so that's just kind of been brought to my attention. This has also been an issue during final examination weeks. Myself, as well as about a half a dozen other students, got tickets on the Wednesday of finals week during the fall semester, as we couldn't extend our parking as we were in our final exams. So the other part of that resolution is to ask that during those final examination periods, that those paid parking sources go into a period of unenforcement. On top of all this, kind of what I wanted to launch today is something that I've coined the Maverick Health and Safety Initiative. This is going to be a series of events that I am planning for this fall to highlight student health and safety, provide a pathway to CPR and first aid certification, as well as things like knowing the dangers of binge drinking and winter survival as well for students that may get trapped in their cars during the winter months. I plan on reaching out to the colleges of Allied Health and Nursing, as well as the Recreation Parks and Leisure Services program, among some others as well. This kind of came to me after Monday. We actually had a student in the choir collapse with anaphylactic shock, and if it hadn't been for about a half dozen of us that were certified in first aid and CPR, she might not have made it. She had a severe allergic reaction We don't know what the cause was at the moment, but one of these students actually had to administer an EpiPen. One student had to call 911 themselves because the professor was kind of in shock as to what happened, and then a couple of us had to run and grab an AED at the same time. If there hadn't been those students there that knew what to do, I fear what could have happened to that student. And so that is one of the things that I want to highlight going into the next semester. And as I said, I have not been reelected, but I still plan on pursuing this effort regardless. So I will now yield to questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Senator Wing, first of all, for an amazing report. Senator Wing is, again, one of the senators who have been a very good senator this whole year, very responsible with all the projects you have taken on, very responsible with attendance. So I just want to appreciate all the work you have done. And let's all give him a All right, let's get started with the questioning period. I'm going to start with Senator Roberts.
Do you think this should also be extended to professors getting the training that they currently do not have?
Yes, definitely. As we all know, accessibility has been an issue, especially in regard to those emergency situations. Honestly, I feel like if our professors had more of this type of training, as most educators do in the state of Minnesota, I actually used to work for Mankato Public Schools, and having received this training to work for that school district, I believe it should be the same for our university faculty as well.
Awesome. Do we have any further questions? President Stiff?
Just a comment. I'd just like to echo what Mankato said. You've been a great senator all year, super responsive, super on top of everything. So I think these projects sound amazing, and the projects you've already been working on. So thank you for that, and I wish you the best next year.
Do we have any last questions? Any questions over Zoom? All right, thank you.
Yes, I have a Zoom question.
All right, we've got one more question. Vice President Soruso, you can ask the question.
Awesome. So I was just going to suggest, Senator Wing, that you look into health pros and what ways that they're kind of already offering the services you're talking about. They might be a good start to a place to start with your collaboration, since they are also students concerned about wellness. So I would reach out to whoever heads Health Pros. It might be Wendy, I'm not sure, and kind of start with them, because I think they'd be a great collaborator.
Awesome. I have some connections with that group, so I'll definitely reach out. I've also got some contacts within the College of Allied Health and Nursing as well, so those are the people that I plan on reaching out to right away. So thank you.
Awesome. Any last suggestions or questions on the table? All right, thank you. Moving on to open forum. Do we have anyone for open forum today? Sam.
Howdy y'all. Again, Sam Steiger, come from Campus Recreation. Wanted to share with y'all posters and some info. There's a QR code on this poster as well if you'd like to snap a picture of the poster. There isn't enough for everyone to grab one, but you can pass them around if someone wants them. I have a big 11 by 17 as well. But we have some Earth Week happenings going on, and they're being presented and coordinated kind of through our area, Maverick Adventures. We're working with a lot of different users on campus. There's going to be some stuff down in Mav Ave, just regular tabling and getting people interested in the activities and doing some small Earth Week activities with us at the table. We're also going to be doing some outdoor-based fitness classes with Campus Recreation. You're going to see some climate change discussions. We're hosting one of the teachers from the local school district that just had a chance to study in Antarctica. So you're going to see just a lot of different activities that have to do with Earth Week, and we're going pretty much Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Also on Saturday, there's astronomy. If you want to come out and see some stargazing, we're working with the astronomy department. There's a campus cleanup. That would be a great opportunity for the Senate to make an impact on our campus. And so you can register for all of these activities for free through the Campus Rec website, and that QR code will get you to all of the activities, and that's how we'll communicate with people who are interested. You also can just show up to these activities. They're all listed on the poster. I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Sam? Any questions? Any questions over Zoom? Looks like there's no questions. Sam, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you. Sam is one of the faculty and staff who has been here with us the most this year during open forums. It's always nice to see you and to see you come support Student Senate. So it's not our last meeting, it's our second last meeting, but I don't know if you're going to be here next week. So I just want to appreciate all the support and all the connections you have made with student government and for showing up every week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do I have anybody else for open forum today? Anyone for open forum? Last call for open forum. I'm gonna quickly look at Zoom. All right, looks like there's no one else for open forum today. We're gonna move on to the approval of consent agenda. Do I have any dissent on the approval of consent agenda? Any dissent? Any dissent? All right, I assume unanimous consent and the agenda is approved. Moving on to the officer reports, I'm gonna get started with President Siv.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Senate this week. I have a couple updates for you. First things first, Amber is looking for everyone to RSVP for the banquet this year. I know she said a few of us haven't registered yet or RSVP'd. So if you haven't RSVP'd for the banquet, please do that as soon as possible. Next, thank you to all of you who stayed last week, or even if it was just for a little bit to have a conversation. I really appreciated talking to all of you all. And yeah, just thank you for that. It was a really nice conversation. Other than that, transition reports, just begin writing them. And then there's already like a channel on Teams where you can submit your transition reports. But just keep that in the back of your mind as we're heading into our last meeting. Outside of that, we did have an election yesterday, so I think me, Manahil, and Carol will probably talk about that, but congratulations to all of you who were either re-elected or elected for the first time if you're attending over Zoom. And for those of you who were not elected, please consider running in a vacancy election. There are still around 4 vacancies, I believe, and I'm sure there will be more to come, so consider that as you are thinking about next year. Outside of that, I just want to congratulate the new executive team. So Emma Zelmer, Edmund Ibrahim, and then the speaker to come. We don't know who that is yet, but congratulations to all of those people. Also, I really want to say we all have a reason to be proud today. We passed 2 referendums this week, and that is big, big, big for student government. So I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of all the work that we put in for that. And most of all, in that referendum, we got students paid, which was like our whole theme for the year. Holistic student wellness, all of that, and getting students paid. So you all should have a really big reason to be proud today. Especially Joey, thank you for everything you did. Patrick, thank you. Amy, Manahil, Kara, athletics. That was also a referendum we passed. I want to thank athletics for mobilizing their athletes to vote on that. And then all of you senators who also voted or got your constituents to vote. So yeah. I think that's all I have for this week, but I'd just like to say that I'm really proud that we ended this year on that note. Passing 2 referendums is not easy by any stretch of the imagination, and we had a decent voter turnout. So that's something you all should be very proud of. And that's all I have.
Awesome. Do we have any questions for the president? Any questions? Any questions? All right. Thank you. Let's move on to our next officer report of the day, which is Vice President Sawerso joining us from Zoom.
Thank you, speaker. So I do have a couple updates as well. I hope you can all hear me. First of all, I apologize for joining over Zoom today, just feeling a bit under the weather and didn't want to take a chance. So a few updates we have. We had a conversation with some people from Metro State as they talked about ways that they compensate their students for attending committees, like university-wide committees, and how they're able to kind of increase student access by doing that. And we've had some conversations about looking to do something similar. So at our last meeting with the president this year, we talked about that pretty heavily. So we're optimistic that possibly, if not by fall, that this will be a continued conversation and we can hopefully increase access to those meetings and also just increase interest in them as well. So that was one big thing. We also met, the reporter brought in their consultant for the newspaper, and so we were able to kind of sit down with them and meet with them and kind of talk a little bit more about the reporter. So that was cool. Like Brianna said, we've been really busy the last few days getting people out to vote, and we're really proud of the voter turnout. It's pretty much double, or pretty close to double what we had last year at this time, and so that's a pretty huge achievement. And let me see, I think there's one more thing I have. Maybe not. Yeah, so that's kind of the big stuff that's been happening in our world the last couple of weeks. Like President Stipp said, make sure that you get your officer reports, transition reports out. If you guys need any help on what to include in that or kind of where to start, make sure you go on Teams and you can read previous reports. They don't need to be like pages long, but just something like some things you wish you would have known coming into the job, where you're at current things, just to help the next people. Even if it's yourself, it's always good to have a record, because most of us take a significant break over the summer. So yeah, that's about all I have today.
Thank you. Do I have any questions? Senator Hashimoto?
I have a question. In addition to the transition report, is that possible to save any files, additional materials over Teams or whatever, so that we can send it to you?
For sure. Yeah. Vice President Sorosha, would you like to take that question, or do you want me to answer that?
You can answer it.
Okay. So if there's any documents that you think would be worth it to share with the next Senate, that would help them, especially if there's like, transition reports are a way for you to give the knowledge that you have gained in this year to the next Senate so that they can take that knowledge and move forward with it. So if there's any documentation, anything that you think would be important that you would like to share with next Senate, feel free to just always upload it, reach out to me, Kara, Rihanna, Emmy, and we can answer those questions. If you have like, oh, is this document good enough to be uploaded? And we should do that. Do I have any further questions for Vice President Sorosha? Any questions? Any questions? All right, thank you, Vice President Sorosha. All right, so now we're doing the last officer report of the day, which is my report. First of all, we're having an immigration attorney event. It was not a huge success, but it was still a success.
There were more people who came in after you, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to reiterate, we have an immigration attorney. We have a contract through student government. With this immigration attorney, it's a very good opportunity for you to ask questions about if you're an international student or if you have friends who are international students and you're just curious about something. It's a very good way to ask those questions by this attorney. You can ask questions about immigration, citizenship, job opportunities, international student, OPT, CPT, whatever you're thinking related to immigration, they would be happy to answer those questions. We still have them. I requested them to stick around after the Senate so that if any of the senators have any questions, they can ask. He is in office right now doing some in-person meetings with some of the other people who signed up for those meetings. But all of you all are eligible if you want to sign up for 10 minutes in-person private meeting, and it would stay confidential. You can ask any questions and every questions related to immigration. So I would encourage you guys to do that. Just take this opportunity. He comes once a year. He was here last year. It was a great opportunity. I got to ask a lot of questions, and then he'll be here today. After that, I wanted to just congratulate everyone who got reelected into the next Senate. Congratulations. It's gonna be great. Next thing is, I just wanted to talk again about transition reports. I'm gonna be taking care of all the transition reports that you guys are doing. So just make sure that you're putting in, because we do have a template of what to follow, and what questions to answer and stuff like that. So you can just get that template from Teams and just follow that. And then I will also consider you working on your transition reports as a part of your office hours, so win and win. And again, if you don't fill the transition reports, you are not eligible to apply for the graduation course. So I highly recommend everyone to complete the transition reports. You can get free office hours out of that, and then you get to help next senators who are gonna be in these positions. Last office hours will be due next week. I'm sure you guys are so done with me right now. I'm like, Mankato, office hours all year. But the last session of office hours will be next week on Friday. It's on everyone's calendar. Again, if you are struggling, if you're going through something, if you're have 7 finals coming up, I will understand. Just, I want you all to just communicate it out to me. Let me know that you have been involved, or at least like if you're not doing the full set of office hours, submit something, because I don't wanna fight with you all at the end of the Senate, so let's just do that. And then we have officer reports today. We'll be listening to those. We have another set of officer reports next week. And then I wanted to ask everybody that next week we have student events team banquet starting at 5 p.m. A lot of the Senate members are invited to that banquet. So I just wanted to ask, how would you all feel about us starting the meeting early? So like, let's say we start at 3 p.m. instead of 4 p.m. And try to wrap up the meeting by 5 p.m. so that the invited members can go and attend the banquet. So I'm just gonna do a quick vote right now. If you all feel like that would be, and of course I will reach out to the chair of the committee and see how she feels about it. And if she agrees, then we can just start our meeting next week at 3 p.m. All in favor, raise your placard. Okay. 1, 2, 6, 7. All against? All right, on a vote of, any abstain? I don't think so. On a vote of 12 to 5 to 0, we're gonna be starting the meeting at 3 p.m. Obviously, of course, after I talk to the committee chair. And if there's any concern, you can always reach out to me and be like, Mankato, there's something we wanna talk about in the committee. I'll take questions at the end. Actually, I think that's all I have on my report, so any questions? President Stiff.
So wait, are we starting early or at 3? Because I think there were still some resolutions that we needed to talk about really quick, probably going into next week.
So what I was thinking to start at 3, but if you guys still want to have a committee meeting, we can talk about it more. If you guys want to start the committee meeting early, I don't know if everyone's going to be available, if anyone has a class before that, we can do, okay. Then we can try to do this. How about we start at 3:30? There's a committee meeting from 3 to 3:30, and then you guys can talk about resolutions in that time period, and then start the Senate from 3:30.
That sounds better to me. But...
Okay, how does everyone else feel about that? And then, Senator Black.
Yes, motion, I would like to waive people getting abstentions or listed as absent for the 3:30 to 4 p.m. if people have classes during those times.
3:30 to 4 p.m. is a committee time.
3:30 to 4 p.m. Isn't that when we would be starting next week?
Yeah, but that's when you all are in the committee meetings in academic affairs. So that's from like 3 to 4. So we're gonna just try to request the chair of that committee to end that meeting at 3:30 so that everyone can get here and we can start at 3:30.
My motion is that should a person have a class that prohibits them from being able to make it here until 4, they are not given an absence.
Yeah.
So long as they arrive at 4.
Yeah, yeah. As long as you arrive at 4, I will not count it as absent, but I would encourage you guys, if you don't have a class, to just be here at 3:30 so that we can get started. Senator Saha.
Second, I think he motioned.
I accepted it. I accept this. but I appreciate the second. Is there any further questions? Any questions? Is that a question, Senator?
Yeah, just asking, would you recommend a proxy if we can't be there for that first 30 minutes? Or
I would love a proxy.
Okay, I just want to ensure that, especially the resolution that's gonna, or one of the resolutions being brought forth next week is mine. That's, I just want to make sure that that gets the proper, like, airing time to kind of discuss it, so, all right.
If you can't make it, I'm not gonna hold you accountable for that if you have a class. But if you like, I mean, I believe all of you all are required to attend your committee meetings. So unless you have a class, I encourage you all to be here at 3:30. If you can, just have a proxy attend. And if you're in a class and you can't find a proxy, I will not count it as an absence, as long as you're here at 4 p.m. Any further questions? Any further questions? Any last questions? All right. I'm gonna move on to the last thing on my report. Yes.
Sorry, I just, motion to acknowledge what was said in the chat by Robert.
Sure, let me take a quick look. With Sodexo ending at 3, we may not be ready. Our room is in use until 3 p.m. We need some time to set up. TV crew room is in use until 3 p.m. We need. Okay, looks like we won't be able to have a setup ready to go. So I will let all of you all know what happens. If we can't get the room, then we'll just start at 4 p.m. And then when I send out the agenda, I'll send out everyone's the time that we're getting started. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that information. All right, so the last thing on my report is Dean of the Day, and today we have Dean Velsauce with us.
Hi. Sorry, it was super dull. So we've got 2 weeks left to the semester. Who's feeling stressed? Once again, I'm here to say that you can do this because you've done it every other semester so far, right? This is just one more time. You can get through the next 2 weeks, but I'm going to urge you to please take care of yourself, both your physical and your mental health. You might be tempted to focus on studying all the time. You might be tempted to do all-nighters, and in my experience, that never goes as well as you think it will. So please make sure that you are budgeting time to eat well, to sleep, to study, and to socialize with your friends. That's the only way that you're going to survive the next few weeks. We have commencement coming up on February 6th and Friday, May 6th, and Saturday, May 7th. We're splitting it up a little differently this year, and that is so that we can get more people in there without having to restrict the number of people that can come in to sit with you. So we're just going to try this out. It'll be College of Business and College of Social and Behavioral Sciences on Friday, and then everyone else coming through on Saturday. So I look forward to seeing those of you who are finishing your studies walking across that stage. The Council of Deans has 3 searches for administrators going on, so I'm going to urge you to attend sessions for that if you can. I think that I'm not sure, I haven't seen the schedules. Usually we have a schedule for students. Please attend that if we do, and if not, please consider attending an open session, because we really do want your input on these next leaders of the academic colleges. So the first up, it looks like library and learning will be coming through, and then I'm not sure exactly the order, but we'll have allied health and nursing, and then the new college, which we are calling humanities and social sciences. So it's going to be really busy over the next couple of weeks. Again, I don't know how many. You're going to see probably at least 9 people coming through for interviews across the 3 searches. So I know that that's a lot of time in a busy time of the year, and I just told you to take time for yourself. But if you can, please give your input on these candidates, because we'd love to hear them.
Thank you, Dean Velsauce. Do we have any questions for the Dean today? Any questions? Senator Saha?
For those of you who do not know, could you mention the location and the time
Senator Saha, can you speak louder?
Yes. For those of you who don't know, senators don't know, like the web candidate and open forum for the.
Over the candidates?
Yes.
I will let y'all know as soon as that becomes available. The schedules haven't been published yet. And they were making phone calls with finalists today for one of the sessions. But as soon as that's available, I will be forwarding it to your student government leadership and ask them to forward it out. Yeah, thank you for that.
Any further questions? Any questions? Any questions over Zoom? All right, thank you for joining us today, DUSLs. And again, thank you for supporting us all year long. You have been a big support and a big help to Senate, so I just want to recognize and appreciate that. Let's go on.
I want to say one more thing before I have to sit down, and that is that I love attending your meetings. You all take this work so seriously. You are respectful, thoughtful, you make careful decisions, and most importantly, you run a tight meeting. I mean, most academic departments could learn a thing or two from you about the way that you take turns and that you follow parliamentary procedure. So I think that your involvement in this is really a good experience for you moving forward.
Thank you. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the senator reports. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 senator reports. I am gonna be allowing each senator 1 minute and 30 seconds for their report, and then I'm gonna be opening the floor for questions. Let me set my timer here. All right, and then first senator I have is Senator Nowak. And I'm gonna give you time to adjust the mic.
No need. I have a good strategy, which is that I just put it on here, and that
There we
does it for me. Yes.
Love that.
All right. Howdy, friends, Wimbledons and Wimbledons. You know what? This is actually a bad strategy. I thought it was going to be a good idea, but it was not. All right. My friends, for my Senate report, I will say that I have been very preoccupied with PR and marketing things, so I'm going to talk about my senator project first, and then a lot of my stuff is PR and marketing. But my senator project has been to advocate for and work on better accessibility within the campus, and specifically focusing on the res halls and a couple of other very key areas where we've noticed issues. Because of that, we've put together a very nice resolution that I'm excited to get to bring to you guys next week. We just got done talking about that in committee, so a lot of people are familiar on that. It tackles some hyper-specific areas with issues of accessibility. A lot of that came following the unfortunate series of events that went down in Prescott when the fire alarms went off and a student was unfortunately trapped within there. But that really opened the door to a lot of other issues that came forward, such as issues with door buttons not being properly not being properly maintained or working at a similar functionality, some issues with the auto rec center, as well as mobility around campus and being able to transport yourself around. So I'm very excited to bring that proposal next week. I think that'll be really cool. But I will also get into what I've been doing with PR and marketing. Most of what I've been doing is pushing the election, which I'm very glad that was a success, that we were able to get both of our resolutions passed. So very glad that we don't have to worry about that for next year. And we also got great turnout, which I think a lot of credit goes to Patrick Flynn and Emmy Mink, as well as Alfredo Pena, who were our elections commission that really put that together, did a great job. I will also say that another thing we've been working on in PR and marketing is tomorrow we have a very nice fun event coming up, which is the Know Your Worth event, which is more along the lines of our platform that we've been talking about all year, of compensating and fairly treating our student leaders and student workers. It's going to be a very fun event. We've got some guest speakers coming in, including some people from the CDC and Vika Russell from Residential Life. We're going to have snacks and we're going to have some fun little activities. That's tomorrow, 4 to 6, right over there in CSU 25345. I hope to see a lot of you there. I think that'll be very fun.
Senator Nowak, we have reached a time limit, so I'm going to encourage you to wrap up.
Perfect. I was just about to wrap up there and call it there, so thank you very much.
Awesome. Do we have any questions? Any questions for Senator Nowak? Senator Hashimoto.
I just wanted to say thank you for designing all the publication and everything. I just wanted to say, I know the training Brianna was talking about in the other communication task, but thank you.
No, thank you very much. I very much so enjoy making graphics.
Awesome. Senator Dustin.
Yeah, I just wanted to use this time to appreciate you so much. I know that coming to the university for the first time and trying to acclimate yourself into student leadership is very difficult, but you've been one of those people who really been working with me on some of my projects, and I really enjoyed like your companionship and everything that you've been doing. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I only wish that I could have been there to help you a lot more with some of your projects.
Thank you.
All right, and then thank you, Senator Nowak, for such a great report. Again, Senator Nowak is one of the senators who have gone above and beyond on all their responsibilities and has done such a great job. So thank you for all the work you have done this year. All right, so next on my list, I have Senator Chimizzi.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is going to be quick. So, I want to talk about my.
Senator Chimizzi, can you move it closer?
Hello.
Yep.
So I think first of all, before I start with my project, this is my last semester as a senator. So I'd like to say thank you to everyone here because it's been nice to learn this. It's an experience I know that I'm gonna come back to, and something that has made me a better person, a better human being, to be honest. Because I've learned how to take care of people or look after constituents, like my college of business students, I guess. And moving on to my project, it's gonna take place on Monday next week at the CSU 534. Sorry. The office, right by the conference room, the 3 big rooms, 253, 254, 255. Yeah, I've spoken to multiple staffs and they've actually all had my support and they all like the idea I have and just like you guys have, and that's all we have to say. Just I appreciate everything that I have learned from here and people that have actually given me advice and stuff like that, and your advice will help me feel better. Thank you.
Right on time. Do we have any questions for Senator Chimizzi? Any questions? Any questions? All right, Senator Chimizzi, I would like to just thank you for all the work you have done. Your project was such a unique idea, and I personally really liked it. So thank you. We all appreciate you, and congratulations on graduation. So next on my list, I have Senator Saha.
Hello, you all. So, start of this spring semester, I did a project which was one of my bigger demographics, within one of my demographics of off-campus center is FSL, Fair Sorority Life. So, I was working with the city planner to actually allow access to having sorority housings, which is never possible in the city of Mankato. So, which is actually a possibility now. So, they went through a streamlined process of where they can actually have sorority housing and not be called a brothel. My second project, which was more recent, was regarding student leadership pay. I was doing a focus group with one of the resolutions I was writing with Senator Roberts regarding student leaders pay of those who weren't included in this year's budget. And we were working regarding what their pay or we're doing a focus group of what their pay would look like or what they're looking to get compensated for, and I would bring that proposal to the next meeting along with my resolution. On the third project that I'm working on right now is having more access to the student government agenda to the general student population. So we as a senator to have access to it, but the general student population do not have access to that like what's on the agenda until like very late, if at all. So I will pass my research on that to the next speaker-elect of how we can streamline that better, as well as advertise what our committee does on various other committees that's like student can get representation. Also,
Senator
like
Saha, we've reached the time limit, so I'm going to encourage you to wrap up.
finishing it up. So like telling them like what each committee represents and timings and what their purpose is. That's about it.
Awesome. Do we have any questions for Senator Nowak? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Senator Saha, I'm losing my mind at this point. Do we have any questions for Senator Saha?
I'm not at all, but okay.
Any questions for Senator Saha? I have a recommendation, Senator Saha. For you mentioned that you're focusing on making agenda visible. So I'm the person who does the agenda. So you can always reach out to me if there's. I'm like happy to make the agenda visible for whoever wants it. So if there is anything agenda related, I will encourage you all to reach out to me because I will make it public. This is a public meeting. But other than that, do we have any questions for Senator Saha, Senator Nowak?
Yeah, along the same veins as that, I was also thinking this during the update, but I'm not actually sure whether or not this has been done yet. Can we put the Constitution just simply out on our website for people to openly access when they visit the student government website?
It's already there.
It is already there.
I thought that it was already there, but I was like, it might not be, so I'm gonna throw it out there just in case.
It is. It should be on our website and our page.
It is.
Perfect. Any further questions? Any further questions? All right, Senator Saha. Thank you for all the work you have done this year. We all appreciate you, and thank you for your report.
Also, Madam Speaker, love to work with you on the agenda items. So if you want to help out, definitely reach out to me.
I'm just an email away. Next on my list and last on my list, I have Senator Chi Shaffer.
Hi everyone. Okay, so throughout the year I've been working on like the free Lyft and or Uber passes for drunk driving. And I've been in contact with the Duluth team that does that, but we've kind of been struggling on finding meeting time, so that was more on the back burner. But for next year, I didn't run, but I would love to work with the elected CSET senators to try to get more whiteboards in the classrooms of college science, engineering, and technology, just because with Zoom, I realize it's very hard to see what the professors are writing on the blackboards, and with CSET, a lot of the professors don't do presentations because it's more like math problems, so they write them up, and if you're on Zoom, you cannot see that. And also to get better training for the labs, because my personal experience is we did a lab and none of us knew what we were doing, and a lot of the technology could have got broken if not already broken, and I just think that's a waste of money if we could have like better training before we even start in the labs. And that is all.
Awesome. Do we have any questions for Senator Chi Shaffer? Any questions? Any questions? All right, Senator Chi Shaffer, I would just like to say how you have been such a big asset to student government this year. She's one of our quiet senators, but very engaging, very responsible. Every time you needed to take off, you were very responsible about letting me know, and I just want to let you all know that I really appreciate it. So thank you for all you have done this year. Again, your project was very unique, and I always feel so proud when a senator comes up with a unique project that has not already been done on our campus, because we're moving forward. Excuse me. We're moving forward to progress. So thank you for all the things you have done this year with student government. All right, so that was the end of our senator reports today. I'm going to move on to the vacancies. We do not have any new candidates, but as per policies, I will be going over the vacancies we have. College of Allied Health and Nursing, College of Arts and Humanities, College of Education, College of Social and Behavioral Sciences, Graduate Studies Senator, Off-Campus Senator, another campus senator, Res Life senator, and another Res Life senator. Again, next meeting will be our last meeting, so moving on to new business. We've got 2 resolutions. The first one is, and I've got copies here, they were also emailed to everybody. So the first resolution we're gonna be talking about is free after hours parking resolution, and Senator Wing touched a little bit on it earlier in his report. This was motioned by Senator Wing and seconded by Senator Roberts. I'm gonna be sending the copies I have. Looks like I don't have.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Can I request? I should have had these copies. Can I request ID Solutions to maybe pull it up, or Emmy, would you be able to share it? It's on the agenda.
Yeah, I can sign into the Zoom meeting then.
Thank you. Let's give Emmy a few minutes to do that, and then these are the next resolutions, so I'm gonna just pass it right now. While Emmy does that, I'm gonna give Senator Wing an opportunity to talk on his motion.
All right, so yeah, this is something that I became aware of in the tail end of last semester. I know I mentioned that this applied to myself, but it also applies to members of my constituency, and it's a complaint that I've heard all year. It's that when they get confused seeing that the gold lot is unenforced, Flowbird's unenforced after 6:30 p.m. Been a number of my constituents that have reached out that have gotten a $30 ticket. And while I get that $30 might not be much to some, for other individuals that can mean they don't eat for a day. That can add up, and that it just creates more confusion. I saw last year our late Congressman Hagedorn actually came to speak to an RSO that I'm a member of, and he and 2 other of his aides had gotten ticketed that day. We didn't get that taken care of, but this has been an issue that's been going on the last few years here. I see no reason why it shouldn't coincide with the current policy that has the Flowbird go into a period of non-enforcement after 6:30 p.m. that Monday through Thursday, and after 6 p.m. on Friday or on Fridays. So yeah, that's about all I have. Oh, and also in that is regarding the finals weeks. That was also something that was amplified during finals week, as students being in their finals couldn't extend their parking if they were taking longer on their test than they had originally anticipated. So it's simply asking that during those periods of finals, that those are unenforced.
Thank you. Senator Roberts, would you like to talk on your second?
Yes. Just as David said, I pretty much espouse the same things. Particularly graduate students have experienced this as well on a pretty high level. Particularly just not realizing it, because every other parking lot, every other Flowbird literally says 6:30 p.m., 6 p.m. on Fridays. But they would logically assume that the pay lot would be the same. But it isn't. So a lot of my constituents have suffered a parking ticket as a result of that. With an extension of that on finals week, a lot of graduate assistants who might be proctoring a final exam have also experienced a similar thing where a student takes a little bit longer on a final exam. And in respect to that student, because no student deserves to not finish their final exam, they've stayed a little longer. As a result, they weren't necessarily able to extend their parking and end up with a parking ticket for just simply trying to take care of their students' needs and trying to be responsible while doing that. So I stand in very firm affirmation of this resolution.
Thank you, Senator Roberts. Let's go into the discussion period. Do we have any discussion points? Any discussion points? Any discussion points? Senator Roberts.
Just have a friendly amendment of capitalizing student government in the 2 places that it is mentioned.
Yep, that's accepted.
Would you like to take it as a friendly amendment,
Yep,
Senator?
definitely.
All right, since it was a friendly amendment, we would not need a second or a dissent. Do I have any further discussion points? on our amended resolution? Senator Nowak.
Yeah, I would just like to say I am also in support of this resolution. I always love the opportunity to make policy clearer, as well as making things that make more sense logistically and benefit students that are facing a lot of issues in making life easier during finals week, when that can be absolutely atrocious for some people. So I'm very in favor of this.
Thank you. Senator Hashimoto.
Yeah, I wanted to say I really like this idea. I'm so excited to just get connected with those people who are in charge of parking after passing this resolution, possibly, and so that what they have to say to actually make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you. President Stair?
Yeah, I have the reverse comment. I'd like to hear what the David Cowan has to say before we pass this, just again, so we're passing something that's like attainable. So I'd like to actually defer to Mr. Cowan if you would like to speak on this a little bit.
The answer is we will support the resolution. We will make it free during finals week, at least as an experiment, see how we can do it long-term with the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee. We are not going to convene to deal with this now, but we can certainly allow this if the motion passes, which I'm assuming it will. So this is kind of a stress reliever, if that can be put in that frame. Makes cogent sense, good sense.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Cowan.
whoever the dummy was that had the old policy should be fired.
We all support that as a Senate.
No, don't.
I was just kidding. That was off record when I was on camera. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Thank you, Mr. Cowan, for clarifying that. Do I have any further discussion points on our amended resolution? Do I have a motion on the floor?
Call the question.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a dissent? Any dissent? Any dissent? All right, we're gonna vote on our amended resolution. All in favor to pass the resolution, please raise your placards now. It's a clear yes. So unanimous consent, and the resolution, amended resolution, is passed. Congratulations. Next on my list, I have graduate assistantship policy resolution. This resolution was introduced last week, but it was tabled, so I am hoping that you all have had a chance to discuss on this during the committee time. This resolution was motioned by Senator Roberts and seconded by Senator Hashimoto.
The second has been replaced with Senator Flynn.
All right, so this motion is replaced to seconded by Senator Flynn. Senator Roberts, would you like to talk on your motion?
Absolutely. So graduate assistants have struggled with the current wages of $10,000 per year. I've heard this from a number of constituents. You've heard it from the testimonials that I've read at open forums upon the request of my constituents. But in addition to this struggle of a financial challenge from my fellow constituents, a lot of my constituents are overworked, significantly overworked. And the second half of this policy is not only just to raising GA wages, which is an absolute need to be able to be above the federal poverty line and not being able to be forced to take multiple jobs or feel unable to complete their studies here, but also to better limit the 20-hour limit that is specified in our contracts that continuously get ignored by our supervisors. So it is a goal of this resolution not only to raise GA wages to an attainable amount to where GAs can live more comfortably, but also to hold accountable our supervisors who compel us to work more than the 20 hours permissible per the contract.
Thank you. Senator Flynn, would you like to talk on your second?
Yes.
My support of this resolution can be succinctly described as if you work for 20 hours, you work 20 hours, you get paid for 20 hours. Being forced to work beyond that, it crosses into a point where this is kind of the argument I had with the Dome of, do we want to build our university on bettering our fellow man, or do we want to build it on the cheapest way possible? I think that, in my mind, we want to build our university on bettering our fellow man and woman, while helping those who help us along the way, which this resolution provides a framework where that is possible.
Thank you, Senator Flynn. Now we're going to move on to the discussion period of this resolution. Do I have any discussion points? Senator Hashimoto.
Well, thank you so much I 100% love this idea itself. I initially, a couple weeks ago, months ago, I had the second on it. I just wanted to clarify some of the questions that the fellow senator had in the last committee meeting, I'm pretty sure. I just wonder if there's any update around those information or we got. I think this is a great chance to probably possibly share if it's allowed.
So if you have a motion on the floor, I need you to raise it, but otherwise, if that's just a discussion point, I'll call up on you. Senator Sahar, do you have a motion on the floor?
Point of information
State
regarding the question specification of the question for clarification for the Senate members as well as for the public viewing.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. So I remember in the several Senate committee meetings that we were talking about, it is a great idea. We want to probably polish and just make sure this resolution will be really solid to pass. And I think the senator were given time for some revision and everything. I just wanted to know how it turned out in general.
Thank you, Senator Roberts.
I have the friendly amendment to my own resolution that actually answers that question. So it's going to be a lot, so I apologize. At the whereas noting the national average paid compensation for graduate assistants reported at universities currently $28,384 as reported by 1,139 graduate assistants from all universities of all sizes. Per the report on Glassdoor is the addition at the end. Then another added line after that. Whereas, according to the article, 6 major reasons why graduate assistants don't finish. Funding is described as the #1 reason why. This is not just tuition waiver, it is also the fact that the stipend is not enough. Then I will be striking out the line, whereas a significant number of universities of all...
Senator Roberts, let's just talk on one amendment first. Let's see if that gets accepted, because I don't want you to people not supporting one and then you can't even do the strikeout.
It's a friendly, and it's my resolution.
Oh, okay.
Go for it. Can you repeat that last, the part you're adding in, according to the article?
6 major reasons why graduate assistants don't finish. The #1 reason listed is funding. This is not only the tuition waiver, it is also the stipend not being enough.
All right, so since it was Senator Roberts making an amendment to his own resolution, I'm gonna just ask the second if the second accepts the amendment.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So now that we are on to the amended resolution, we're gonna move on to the discussion period for that. Senator Roberts.
I have more amendments.
Let's get started.
I'm sorry, bear with me for a moment. I will be striking out whereas a significant number of universities of both sides provide health insurance for graduate assistants. And then I will be striking the line that goes with it in the be it further resolved, the policy, provide health insurance to graduate assistants. And then I will be amending, be it further resolved, request the administration to adopt changes prior to the, instead of 22, 23, 24 school year.
Is that all, Senator Roberts?
That is all.
Awesome. We're gonna move into the discussion period, but I just wanna make a comment before we do that. We're gonna have another resolution next meeting. I'm gonna encourage you all, if there is an amendment that you're trying to make yourself and there's like more than two, I encourage you to just, if that's a plan in place, so just send me the amended resolution so that I can email it to everybody, because that's a resolution that everyone reviews before the meeting. So let's move on to the discussion period on the amended resolution, and I have a point from our advisor.
I'm just letting you know, Kara does have her hand raised in the queue, so.
All right, and then I'm gonna take my first, do I have a motion on the floor, Senator Flynn?
Friendly amendment, the be it further resolved, if we say, for the second to last one, it says resolved request, if we could change that to we request.
Yeah.
And the similar things for the other, be it further resolves.
Yeah.
For continuity, okay.
Senator Roberts, do you accept this amendment?
Yeah, I accept the amendment.
All right, Senator Saha.
Point of personal privilege for those who are following on right here as well as on Zoom and others, could the updated, like amended, the things amended on the resolution be updated on the screen so like we can have a.
That is happening. We're doing it as we speak.
Okay.
This is happening right as we speak.
Sounds good.
Senator Wing.
So I completely agree with this this resolution. However, I do have one concern, and that's what the university response is going to be regarding possible removal of current GA positions. I don't know, that's just something that kind of stuck out to me, especially as we're talking about nearly doubling the current salary. I completely agree that it should be passed. I'm concerned of what the university's response will be.
Senator Justin.
Yeah, so I have a few concerns about this resolution. So first of all, I like the idea of us advocating for graduate students. My concern has always been consistent, and that is the fact that I think we had one of the deans here the other day, and something like this came up, and we saw the response, she gave in regards to why they don't have the capacity to pay graduate students that much. And another concern I had was with the issue of the health insurance, and I think he has already taken that part off because I feel like there was too much of demand to making a single resolution, talking about salary increment and then talking about health coverage. I think it was so much, and that was my fear too. And right now, seeing that it's not there anymore, I still have a little bit of concern about the salary, even though, yeah, I feel like graduate assistants deserve it because they are doing the work of like a full-time professors and all that. But yeah, I'm just so curious about how the administration response is going to change after she's already said that would mean reducing the number of like graduate employees they have. So if Senator Roberts is willing to take that risk of increasing the salary and having few numbers of people working, that is something I'm concerned about because at the end of the day, I want for this resolution to benefit the majority of the students and not just few people.
Thank you.
Yep.
Senator Novak.
Howdy. So after Rihanna did this on our last proposal, it gave me the idea of, hey, that's a really awesome way of figuring this out, because a lot of people are asking how admin reacted to this. I would like to ask our admin in the gallery if you have had the opportunity to read the amendment as listed on, the resolution as listed on the screen, if you have any thoughts on this. And I was gonna yield to Dean Beltzos. Looks like she's already up.
Man, it's lucky I'm Dean of the day.
Yeah.
I have read the resolution. y'all misrepresenting what I said a little bit. So I didn't say that we were gonna cut the graduate assistantships. I did say that is something that could happen if we can't find a source of funds, because as it was pointed out, you're talking about adding $4 million to, between $3.5 and $4 million to the budget to fund this increase, and we don't have a source for that yet. So I do appreciate the extended timeline, which gives us a chance to have the kind of conversations we need to identify where that money might come from. On behalf of the Council of Deans and just my own personal feelings on the matter, I do sympathize. The stipend went up a few years ago, and by not nearly enough. We did not peg it to anything that would sort of match the cost of living. And so I did sort of an informal poll among my friends to see, well, hey, what was the graduate assistantship rate when I was a master's student 20 years ago, when I was a doctoral student 10 years ago. And the present value of that stipend would be about $10,000. What's changed is the cost of living. It was much cheaper to afford an apartment and to afford food and the other parts of life on a graduate assistant stipend 20 years ago and even 10 years ago than it is right now. So I do agree something needs to be done. We just need a little bit more time to figure out how are we going to make that work. Did that answer your question?
Thank you, Dean Goldsauce. Appreciate all the information. Next on my list, I have Vice President Saversal on Zoom. Vice President Saversal on Zoom.
Yep, I'm here. Thank you. Okay, so I have a few different thoughts on this. The first thing is, the thing I like the most about this resolution is that it's asking, first and foremost, for more accountability from supervisors. I think that's definitely kind of like Senator Flynn said, like, if you're getting paid for 20 hours a week, you should be doing 20 hours of work. And I think that's the most immediate change that could be made as a result of this resolution. I do think it would require a lot of buy-in across the university to get people to do this, and also to help graduate assistants feel comfortable saying, no, I've completed my hours for the week. But I do think, I wish there was a little bit more on that, like maybe like a timesheet system where graduate assistants are tracking their hours, or something more formal, because I think that would alleviate the burden most immediately and most cost effectively. So I wish there was something to increase that or have more of a conversation about that. But I also really like that the timeline has been increased. I think that definitely makes this resolution more attainable. I'm still concerned about this conversation getting buried by the summer, and the fact that we're passing it at this point. I just fear that there will be meet and confers in between, but I feel that it might get lost, and so I wish, maybe this would be a better thing to start having this conversation in fall when Senate is back and fully active. And then the other thing is, I wish it mentioned in here that there is a tuition credit as well. It kind of just talks about the stipend, and it is a little bit misleading to make it seem like there's only $10,000 like total for your work as a graduate assistant, when you're also getting the significant tuition credit. And so, yeah, I would say that would just kind of make it more transparent to me. But I am happy with the improvements. I'll still have to think on whether or not I'm ready to vote yes for this today.
Thank you, Vice President Saversal. Next on my list, I have Senator Roberts.
Thank you. The one thing I wanted to add, and it's in the be it resolved in terms of that 18,000, but I want to point out the or in line with raises given to on-campus student workers. The biggest things that graduate assistants want is just some kind of increase. I'm not necessarily saying it has to be 18,000. I know that's what my constituents have been asking for, and that's about where it's always been landing. But realistically, if it's something in between that makes it easier for the funding system to work, any amount would help. So I just really wanted to really point that out. It's not that it has to be 18,000. It would be a dream if it was 18,000, but any increase realistically will help.
Thank you. Senator Hashimoto?
Yeah, I was gonna mention about that point for sure. Like as far as we heard from Dean Belsos, that she's really open about having conversation even over the possibly next academic year. Sounds like. So I just wonder, like, if we would like to, for example, for the amount, if the amount is some concerning point for some senators by limiting the conversation to hold the more of like flexible conversation between administrative. Maybe we can include that sense of like a lines that you explained now, like any kinds of increase, but the probably there's some like a setting goals that we have, but like there's a room for conversation. That kind of like how can I say, like if there are a couple lines which can mean in such way or which can include that flexibility, it might help to just like pass a resolution at this point, since we have really good atmosphere around that.
Senator Saha.
I like the whole essence of the motion. Like I wholly support the motion, but like my only comment is like, since Dean Beltos mentioned regarding the funding source, and like before writing any resolution, it has like we can love the essence of the resolution, but there has to be a realistic path to fulfilling the resolution. That's when I write a resolution, that's what I'm looking for. My question, if I can defer Dean Beltos, is like if the rise or increase is prorated, is that a feasible option?
Senator Saha, would you please yield to
Yes.
our Dean?
Yes.
And thank you, Dean of the Day. You have been very helpful today.
Dean of the Week.
Would you like to answer this question?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the question.
The question is like if the increase is prorated, like spread out or increased incrementally, is that a more feasible option?
So I'm not sure if the people online heard. He's asking if it were prorated, if it would be easier. I'm not sure. My gut says they want to have the money in advance to make sure that we can pay good on what we're promising. But I don't know. It's worth asking. And remember, y'all, I work all summer. So like, you're having this conversation. We are aware that this is your interest. Regardless of how you vote today, we're gonna keep talking about it this summer and try to come up with something. Okay?
So yeah, I encourage the re-elected senators to keep working on this during summer. Thank you, Dean of the Day. Next on my list, I have President Stiff.
Hi, so I have a couple things, and we've mentioned this, we've talked about this as well, Senator Roberts, but again, I just wanna make sure that we're passing, like, we don't pass something with hopes that it'll get done, like we're passing it with like, okay, like that, we have a clear path forward, and so, the only thing, on here that I'd like to, well, first, I guess I'll have to ask Dean Beltos again, so you might have to come back up, but would it be a better path to just pass something simply stating like, we're moving forward, we're gonna consider how to raise it, instead of putting like specific ask or specific numbers in there, like the 18,000, like, we wanna make sure if we pass 18,000, that 18,000 is attainable for you all, and as you said, it would add about $4 million, and there's not a clear way of where that $4 million is gonna come from yet, so would it be more attainable to just simply say, we're gonna like pass something stating, that we ask the administration to consider further graduation pay? Because I already know that's what you all are doing, and so maybe you can talk a little bit more about what work is going on right now, just so we get a better understanding of that. So that was like a 2-in-1 question, but yeah.
I can tell you about the work that's going on right now, you're not gonna like it. Our data right now says that we are in line with peer institutions, that is, institutions of our size, with our type of student body, our types of programs, and in our type of communities. So it's not really fair to compare Minnesota State Mankato with it was like City University of New York something does offer $23,000, for example. That's in Brooklyn. Cost of living in Brooklyn is very different than Mankato. So what we do is we look at institutions of about the same size, and we are, in line. That kind of means that it doesn't mean that we're doing any good. It just means we're not doing any worse than anyone else. And that makes it really hard for me to go to cabinet and say, we need this money. It just kind of makes it hard. It just takes an argument out of my arsenal. I would say ask for what you want. Understand that we might not get it, and don't take that as a loss. But if you think 18,000 is what you want, I would suggest asking for it. I noticed that Vice President Jones left the room. I was going to ask him for his advice because he's in those budget conversations, and I'm not. But honestly, that would be my strategy. You have to think about this as a negotiation, right? And in a negotiation, you ask for what you want, and then you're willing to come to an agreement with what both sides can live with. I wouldn't water it down, personally.
And then President Stiff has a follow-up question from you, so instead of having to ask you to come back, I'm just gonna allow her to do that follow-up question right now.
I think I forgot the follow-up.
Okay.
Wait, okay, I'll remember. So what is the model right now? So let's say with the $10,000 and there's an additional, what else does a graduate student get?
They get the tuition stipend.
Okay.
So it's up to 18 credits in an academic year.
Okay. So based on that model, I think it would be a good idea, and I would look for your feedback on this too. If the model is maybe to cover, maybe not your full tuition, but 90% of it. I'm asking, like, what is that model? What is the percent of that $10,000 and the 12 to 18 credits? Like, what is like the science or like the rationale behind that?
Well, what those of you who are undergrads might not realize is that full-time study for a graduate student is 6 credits a semester, and so this pays up to 9 credits a semester. Most graduate programs are 30 credits to 34 credits total. There's some exceptions, but in general, you could. I heard that. Yeah, there are some.
CSP at 60.
There are. I did say there was some that are bigger. There are some that are like 60 or something like that. I would not recommend reducing the waiver. I don't see what that benefits.
Oh no, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to figure out okay, if we're accounting for inflation, like what the new model should like be going based off of. Like if I don't know how to phrase this. So like if the model currently is like we're trying to cover 75% of their tuition. Accounting for inflation, I was just wondering like what that number would be now. And I don't expect anyone to have that like answer, but that's what I was just wondering, if you could give us like what the model is right now, or what it's trying to cover, a percentage or.
I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm not sure I know the answer. I know that the graduate tuition rate is $472 per credit. So if we multiply that times 18, that's how much the value of it is. But I'm not sure I'm understanding the question.
Let me see if I can rephrase it. So with the $5,000 per semester.
Yeah.
Is that accounting for is that trying to cover 90% of the tuition, 100%?
No, the $5,000 goes into your pocket.
Okay, cool. And
you have to kind of think about it this way. It pays for your tuition and it's a part-time job. Okay. And those two things are separate. So I don't know that grad students ever actually do anything with the tuition. Graduate assistant? Like, is it just taken care of, or do you just file paperwork? I feel embarrassed that I have to ask this question.
It's part of the paperwork.
It's part of the paperwork,
Yeah.
but there's no money exchanging hands.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. So the money that we're talking about is the stipend. The waiver is paperwork back and forth.
Thank you, Dean Velsos, for answering all these questions. And then after hearing all the discussion points, I'm just gonna give a friendly suggestion. It looks like there's a lot of discussion that can happen on this topic. So Senator Roberts, if you're still comfortable continuing this, we can move forward. We can continue the discussion period and vote on it. Or if you're more comfortable with having a focus group where everyone can bring these concerns up and can come up with like a better resolution.
I would like to vote on this today.
All right.
Just because my constituents really want to see this pass this year.
Sounds good. So next on my list, I have Senator Basnick.
Okay, so I'm really impressed by the most of the resolution and proposal that has been showing continuously multiple times by Senator Douglas, and then for their constituent. And then I really appreciate that you get in between for the prices, and then I hope that we could find some resource to raise that stipend for graduate assistant, and I really support this idea.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on the floor?
Yes, and I will gladly retract this should I see any dissent, but in the interest of closing this out, call the question.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a dissent?
Dissent.
Retracted.
Dissent.
All right.
Retracted.
So we're gonna continue with our discussion period. Next on my list, I have Vice President Sawarso.
Thanks. I just have a motion real quick. It's a friendly amendment. On let me find it. On the second whereas, it says minimum of $5,000. Can we add per year? And then on whereas number 10, it says current grad pay is, I think it says 10,000. Also add per year there. And then on the first be it resolved, where it's talking about that $18,000 number, if we could add per year, just to clarify or clear up any confusion.
Senator Roberts, would you like to accept this friendly amendment?
I will accept part of it. I recommend an amendment for the 5,000 to per semester. But yeah, for the rest per year, yes.
All right. So just a little language change there. Do we have that uploaded? Okay, perfect. So since it was a friendly amendment and it was accepted by Senator Roberts, we will not be asking for a second or a dissent. Do I have a motion on the floor by Senator Flynn?
Friendly amendment. The whereas current graduate assistant pay, if at the end we could add in addition to the 18 credit hours that are waived.
Yeah, sure.
That's on the second one? Second whereas?
Senator Flynn, would you like to indicate where exactly is it?
Let me count. Fourth from the last.
Nine.
It might be third from the last now.
10,000 per year? Okay. Cool, got it.
All right, so our resolution has all the amendments right now. We're still in the discussion period. Do I have a motion on the floor or we continue with the discussion period? No motion on the floor, Senator Hopwood.
So I'm basically wondering, so where we talked about in our committee meeting last week that you mentioned that our school in the mid-state system, like we are getting, like GAs are getting paid the highest.
Senator Hopwood, just for Zoom purposes, I'm gonna request that you speak louder so that
Oh,
everyone
sorry.
on Zoom can hear.
Yeah, so in the last committee meeting, we talked about how the mid-state system that our school for GAs is getting paid the most. So I'm wondering, did you take the advice from Emmy and look at the like the system that they had that showed schools similar to show like where you're getting this number from to make it better for us to pass this and have this go forward based on like the increase of living, and especially like in our area and stuff like that. So I'm just wondering, because like she said before, it's hard to go up to someone and be like, oh, I want 18,000, but in our system in Minnesota, you guys are getting paid the most.
Next on my list I have Senator Saha.
Okay. I have a two-part question. It's not a comment or a suggestion. The first one would be, is it more feasible to allow more free credits upfront, like having access up to 12 credits a semester. I don't know if it's feasible for graduate students. I get it, that's a huge stress load. But just putting it out there, maybe that's more feasible to afford, and maybe something the administrator might look into kindly rather than that. Or like, I also agree with Senator Hopwood just said regarding like having more comparative data regarding what the standard of living is to compare to what the stipend is paid at compared to school our size, our scale in country, or at least in the Midwest or upper Midwest. That way we have better data to back our numbers up. Hey, like, okay, we are probably not getting par with what other colleges of similar sizes are getting paid at, and what other colleges of like, it could be the other conversation as well, like maybe we're getting way less than what other colleges of similar size are getting paid at. So like, if we have the data to back that up, I think it will be a more feasible resolution to pass with the numbers backed up that we can have as our tool in the argument table in the cabinet, rather than just passing the resolution, the essence of it, and hoping that they do something about it.
Thank you, Senator Saha. Next on my list, I have President Stipp.
Yeah, so I think, well, from what I'm hearing with everybody, we generally agree that like grad students need to get paid more and that we need to look at this, but like just from the discussion, I would say I would like to vote on this maybe next week. And it's under new business, and I know we've been like expediting things, so we could vote on it today, but like I just think it would be more feasible to vote on it next week. Plus all this conversation about like the data that we need to back this up, because like if 18,000 is like, if that's like true as far as like all the states we're comparable to and all the colleges, and like yeah, 18,000, let's do that. But if it's not, and we don't have in the like a lot of data across areas doesn't say that, then I would not be like cool with voting for that. So I like this like resolution in its essence again. I just think we should vote on it next week, just because like I would like to see more data, and I would like to see those numbers.
I have a motion on the floor by Senator Saha.
A motion to table this. I will retract this motion if we do have dissent, or mostly dissent. Motion to table this resolution until next meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a dissent?
Dissent.
All right, since it's dissented, we're gonna vote on whether or not to table this or not. Table this until next week, or vote on this today. So all in favor to have this tabled until next week, raise your placards now. All against? All abstain? So on a vote of 13 to 2 to 13 to 3 to 2, the motion to table this resolution until next week does pass. So we will be picking this back up next week. All right, and then I will just encourage Senator Roberts, you have time to communicate with all the senators outside of Senate, so maybe utilize that time, and then you also will have a half hour of committee meeting, or actually maybe full hour of committee meeting next week to come back to this. Now I'm gonna move on to the old business. I do not have anything on the old business today. Moving on to announcements. Do I have anyone for announcements today? Senator Wing.
So just kind of echoing what Dean Delso said in her little speech earlier, make sure you're taking care of yourselves. I know that this is a really stressful time for everybody. One thing that I wanted to kind of offer out there is you should take some time. Minneopa State Park is just about 10 minutes away. It does require a parking pass. It's $35. You can get one for the entire year to go to all of the Minnesota State parks. If you aren't willing to pay that, just send me an email or a text. I will gladly go out there with any of y'all. That's I've got a yearly parking pass, and so would gladly take anybody out there. It's a great time, beautiful waterfall. This is the perfect time to go visit. So.
We love a public service announcement. Next, I have Senator Flynn.
Hey, y'all. So we had an election. I want to congratulate everyone who was elected and the 39 separate candidates that we had running for positions. I am so happy we had so many, and I'm also announcing right now that our write-in candidate for residential life, Bob Blanchard, has officially accepted his position. So we have another one. Yeah, thank you for everyone who helped make the voting successful. And yeah, my job as election commissioner is basically done. Cool.
Thank you. Senator Nowak.
Heyo, I mentioned this in my update, but I wanted to say it again. Tomorrow, the Know Your Worth event is tomorrow, Thursday, 4 to 6 p.m. in that room right over there. It's going to be a really good time. You fools better be there. That's all.
Senator Hansen.
Okay, I'll try to talk about it. I'm kind of a quiet person. On the, Saha mentioned it, and also the Belto mentioned it, on the founding dean search specifically. Saha was asking kind of for more information on candidate, like a forum for students, which is what we have with the provost. That's not yet figured out. Now, when it is figured out, I will post a link to the schedule in the group meet, and I could also email to people as well if you wanted. So that should be fine. And it should, if I get my say, it should be the same as how the provost was. So please come. It was fun last time. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cowan.
You're going to be probably not the first to know this, but your program, which is the Bird Rides Incorporated, we had a zone last fall semester that ended on our property line, primarily on our property line in Minnesota State. That zone is, with the city's permission, has been expanded to include all the nearby apartment complexes. Some of our student customers figured this out because we've been experimenting with this. Some of them didn't quite make it across the street, Mr. Senator, before they had a little accident. Anyway, the zone has been expanded, and we will be getting that information out to all of our customers that ride the electric foot scooters. And this again is a Student Senate initiative, Student Senate program. Get your parkas, get out there and ride the birds.
Thank you, Mr. Cowan, for the update, and thank you for supporting student government all year. Next on my list, I have Senator Usefa.
So I just had something that I wanted to share with the Senate. I haven't been involved for this semester particularly, and especially for the last few weeks. It's been stressful for me, but I can't blame anyone else for that I wasn't able to do my job completely. So it has been a great learning experience with all of you in this year. Senate has been a great learning experience, but yeah, I just wanted to apologize that I wasn't able to be involved that much this semester.
Thank you, Senator Usefa. We appreciate that. Next on my list, I have Senator Hashimoto.
Hi everybody, thank you so much. I just wanted to have two updates. One is undergraduate research symposium, like was yesterday, Tuesday. It was really successful for those of you who attended. I think the online version is gonna be available at the Undergraduate Research Center website, I'm pretty sure, on April 25th. So if any of you are a research nerd and would like to go explore more, please check that out. That'll be interesting. I presented, so you're gonna find my video. And another thing is I'm actually collaborating with the chair of Department of World Language and Culture, Dr. Adriana Portillo. When I was discussing about the career initiative for College of Arts and Humanities, she was actually the one who was really interested in about, and we actually decided to host an online webinar event to introduce the value of foreign language learning in our career field. So we're gonna actually host the event called Language, Your Passport to the World on April 19th from 12 p.m. to 1:30. We actually have a webinar registration link available on my side. I can probably send it to the senators later. So if you are interested in foreign languages and career possibly and would like to hear the story from the panelists, I would encourage you to join the webinar. That'll be really informational and educational. So that's it.
Thank you, Senator Hashimoto. That is very cool. Then I have Senator Wing.
So I actually forgot to mention this in my earlier announcement, but I just want to let you all know the public debate between Turning Point USA, College Republicans, and College Democrats has been postponed until next semester, given the amount of stress that everybody's under and the kind of short notice we've had. It sounds like there's going to be a private one behind closed doors just to kind of give us a feel for it. But I'll definitely have more information on that next semester, as I was actually elected the president of the Turning Point USA chapter last night. So you're definitely not done with me, so I'll be around.
Senator Wing, congratulations first
Thank
of
you.
all.
Appreciate it.
Next on my list I have Senator Chimezie.
Yeah, so my project is on Monday, the 18th, from 12 to 2. It would be nice to see you guys there.
Senator Chimezie, would you like to share your roll number, just so the
Oh,
senators know
sorry,
where?
253, 254, and 255.
Awesome. I have Emmy.
So for folks who are going to be around next year, especially if you've done stuff with student organizations, we are hiring for the Maverick involvement team for next year. So those are the folks who do all of our student org training, leadership development programming. There's a reason the RSO office can stay afloat, because otherwise it would be me and 1,200 student leaders. So I will put the application link for that in the GroupMe. It's a really, really great experience. You get to know folks from all across campus. If you have questions about it, you can chat with me or any of the current Maverick involvement team members, but we have 4 that are graduating and our team is of 5. So love working with y'all, would like to keep working with y'all. So yeah.
Thank you. President Sir?
I'd just like to add, in that budget we just passed, we paid Maverick involvement team. So again, you guys should definitely check that out.
It's gonna be a paid job. All right, do I have any last announcements? Any announcements from the gallery? Any announcements on Zoom? I have a last announcement, y'all. Next meeting is gonna be our last meeting. I can't believe we have been together for a year. You've been hearing me for a year. But next week is gonna be the last meeting. I will check back on whether or not we can continue, we can start the meeting earlier or not. If not, then we're gonna be starting at 4. I encourage the people who are gonna be proposing resolutions to discuss those resolutions during the committee time and have those potential discussions and potentially get agreed upon on a result so that we can move on quickly and move on with our last meeting faster. Senator Saha, do you have an announcement?
No, motion to waive roll call.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a dissent? Dissent? All right, we have waived the roll call. I adjourned this meeting at 5:42 p.m.